If you understand this information, you'll just know what to do and you'll know what time we're in. This is why a lot of people prophesy different things taking place on the planet, because they're looking at the cosmic clock and they can tell what is going to happen because it's happened before, right? This is the nature of things. So here we are and getting closer to that eclipse. Some people are already witnessing it depending on what part of the earth you're on, but some of us will be a little bit longer before we get total eclipse. Anyways, enjoy. Hey everybody, what's going on? Today I wanted to come on here and quickly talk to you about, the eclipse. Everybody is in uproar, a little bit of a panic regarding the eclipse and what is taking place. But what I want to tell you is not to be afraid. Just be calm. As always, you gotta stay in a high vibration, a high state of being, mainly because only those who don't know and don't understand are the ones who panic and are the ones who really dwell and live in fear and live in hell. But for you and I, the awakened, the conscious ones, this is not a time to be afraid, but a time to rejoice, because what is taking place is not really about affecting the physical world, but it's about affecting the spiritual, affecting that which is inside of man, rekindling that fire and raising the God mind in man. And so that is what this eclipse is about, and about what many of the movements that take place in the sky is about. This is not about physical changes that you'll see in the world, but changes that are taking place spiritually and behind the scenes. You always got to think about behind the scenes, because what happens in the world is a reflection of what happens in the spiritual world, right? As above, so below. So you just got to come to terms with understanding that whatever you believe may be taking place on the physical when it comes to this eclipse, don't get caught up in it. It's just new form of distraction, another form of distraction, and it's just naysayers just trying to create and promote something out there in the space of whether it's influencing or social media or news, etc., to grab people's attention. Nevertheless, I've been recently studying astronomy and looking at astrology within the context of the Bible, and looking at it from a Gnostic, not Gnostic, but an esoteric point of view, and better understanding it. And it's something that I've been working on, mainly because there's just so much truth within the biblical narrative in regards to us. But if you don't have the appropriate knowledge or wisdom or keys to grasp what's going on, you're going to miss the main points that are being expressed. As always, these biblical information are put forth in allegories, parables, aphorisms, and symbols. And they are there to communicate to the higher mind within man, but not to take it verbatim or to take the word exactly as stated, because you'll miss the point. And so as I read the text now using my spiritual eye, my spiritual mind, I receive different information and I extract different information than the typical reader. And it's very powerful, because recently I've been, like I said, learning about astrology and understanding the signs and symbols in the sky. And I have this app here that I've been using recently to look at the sky, and it's been providing me with just so much really cool content that I can actually look at the sky and see stuff, right? So right now, whoops, excuse me. Let's find that sun. Okay. So right now, as we see, the moon is about to eclipse the sun, which is cool. All right. We know this was happening. Yesterday, while I was looking at the app as well, the moon was in total eclipse with Venus, right? The moon was in total eclipse with it. If you can see here, this yellow line you're looking at, that's the eclipse line that the sun typically runs on. That's how we know what age we're in. That's how we know what age the sun is in, etc., etc. If we go back, we know Jesus was born in the time of Aries, when the sun was here. And right now we're in Pisces. We're coming out of Pisces and we're heading into Aquarius entirely, right? And that's who he is over here. Right now we have Saturn and Mars in the Aquarius constellation, which is super cool. But yesterday, Venus and the moon were totally in eclipse. And so if you felt a very high sense or a high tense sexual energy yesterday, just understand that you were receiving most of that pull because of the moon and Venus being in total eclipse, and it was super cool. I mean, I felt it. Nevertheless, today we're going to be having the moon and the sun eclipsing. Now, for me as a spiritual person, what I believe this is about the unseen. This isn't about the seen. Yes, we know that these two bodies aligning will have physical impacts on the earth. It's a stronger magnetic pull which will affect the water tides, etc. But more so, what is taking place is on a spiritual level, and there's a massive shift in consciousness taking place. And the main reason I say that is because it's mentioned in the biblical text that these things are going to happen, right? And if you know anything about astronomy or astrology, you know that the sky is virtually a massive clock. And this is how the ancestors knew what would happen and what has happened in the past, because they're looking at this cosmic clock, and they understand that when these things happen, or when they see these things in the sky, they know certain things will take place as it has taken place in the past. And so we can use this cosmic clock to tell us what is going to happen and tell us things that have happened in the past, right? Like I said, we knew Jesus was born in the time of Aries. We're in the time of Pisces, where we have the separation between the consciousness of man, between the bots and the conscious being like myself and like you. And then Aquarius is where we will enter that glorious age where the wisdom is profound, the knowledge, the spiritual perception of people is at a much higher level, right? And so we're going through different phases. We're probably going to be in Aquarius, totally in Aquarius in probably like 2,000 years, or 1,000+ years, right? But we are receiving its influence right now, even though we're not totally in it. And I know we're receiving this influence because we can use text to reference this information. Let's jump into some biblical text here, which will provide us with some insights. Let's turn this one off. Yeah. And this one here. Whoa, I gotta get that back, huh? All right, give me 1 second here, guys. Properties. This is my Instagram. There. Okay, good. All right, so let's look at these here. This might be really small to see, but I'll make it work. Okay, good. Let's start over here at over here. Yeah. So if you know anything about, the biblical narrative, or if you've done any esoteric study on the Bible, you would understand that Jacob's tribe represent the 12 constellation in the cosmos. Jacob's tribe does not represent 12 groups of people, but 12 constellation within the cosmos. Okay. A lot of people have the belief that Jacob's 12 tribes are groups of people on the planet, and they call themselves chosen people, etc., etc. But God's chosen people are actually the ones who raise in consciousness to perceive him. Only then can you be chosen. If you're not raising yourself in consciousness and you just have some belief out there, then why would God choose you if you cannot perceive him? Why would he choose you? The only way to be a chosen person of God is to raise yourself into that consciousness, raise yourself above that water, or be baptized into that water, right? That water of consciousness. And so we are in that time where it's very easy for you to be baptized in that water. Nevertheless, let me just point out a few things here. Fear God, heed his word. This is not telling you to be afraid of God, but give reference to him. Understand that the God mind is within you, and you need to fear your lower self. Be not afraid of it, but shun your lower self, because your lower self is the one that destroys you, right? It says here, do not say a conspiracy concerning all that this people call a conspiracy. Now look, the world and the leaders and the media of the world will say that everything the spiritual man is calling out is a conspiracy. When we look back at what has happened over the past few years, they say it's a conspiracy. But we, for a fact, know it's not a conspiracy because we can see it. And here in the Bible is telling us, don't say it's a conspiracy, because these people call it a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It's also telling us, do not be afraid of the threats, nor be troubled. Don't be afraid of the system. Don't be afraid of what society will say. Don't be afraid of the government. Don't be troubled. The Lord of hosts, him you shall hallow in. Give reverence. The word hallow means to give reverence to the creator, or the source from which we all come, the God inside of all of us. Give reverence to him. Let him be our fear, and let him be our dread. Let him be the one who causes problems for the world. We don't need to do that, right? Let him be our sanctuary. Let him be of a stone of stumbling rock and of offense to both the houses of Israel. Israel, Isis, Ra, and El. So Isis, the feminine spirit, Ra, the consciousness, the higher consciousness, and El is what we rise into, our elder self, our angelic self, our Elohim of ourselves, right? And that's what the El means, like angel, Michael, Uriel, all these L's throughout the Bible. They're all talking about their God self. When you rise into your God mind, you become an El. Basically the highest form of consciousness, you rise into it. And it says here, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, basically the ones that choose to persecute us, right? We are a trap and a snare to them, and many among them shall stumble. They shall fall and be broken and be snared. But most importantly about this quote here, what I want to get to is, bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. Disciples are the conscious ones. And I will wait on the Lord, who hides his face from the house of Jacob, and I will hope in him. The house of Jacob are the seven particular what this is referring to are 7 particular constellations that do not see the face of the sun, depending on the season that we're in. But additionally, here I am and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel. Here I am, okay, the house of Jacob, and the children who the Lord had given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel. Signs and wonders in Israel. Signs and wonders in the conscious being from the Lord of hosts, whom dwells in Mount Zion, who dwells in the crown of man's head, Mount Zion. So let's carry on. Here's another quote stated here in the biblical text. Right? It says here, and God said, let there be lights in the vaults of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times. Now, when it says here vault, this is where a lot of people get a little bit confused about, whether it's a flat earth or a round earth. Don't get me wrong. I used to be a proud flat earther, and you could say I still somewhat subscribe today, but I don't necessarily subscribe because there are things I'm learning and I'm willing to change my view, mainly because I don't hold on to anything exactly truth until I get more information, right? So, and that's how you have to approach life, because we were breaking out of this old construct and this old mentality that we were fed before. And, I, just like you, use the flat earth to help me break out of that old mental construct. And we need to use certain things to help us break out of these old mental constructs, right? So it says here, vault, in the vault of the sky. Now, what vault means to turn. If I can pull this up here, give me 1 second. Vault means to turn around, to roll, okay? But this is where a lot of people believe it's talking about an arched roof or ceiling. Vault has multiple meanings. Vault even means to jump or to leap, right? So vault has multiple meanings, but in the case of the biblical narrative, it's talking about to roll or to turn. So what God is saying here, or the Creator is saying here, is let there be lights in the rolling of the sky. The rolling of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years, right? Let's focus here, and let's stay focused on let them serve as signs to mark at sacred times and days of the years. And we know within the biblical text, when it talks about years, it's not talking about 365 days. It's talking about cosmic years, okay? It's talking about large scale of time. It says here in the biblical text that 1,000 years for man is like 1 day for God, and 1 day for God is like 1,000 years for man, right? So we're talking about cosmic time here. Here's another quote I want to touch on. It says here, And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Let me touch this again. I will pour out my spirit on all the people. What this is referring to, okay, let me pull it up here again. What this is referring to is the time of. Oh. What this is referring to is the time of Aquarius, okay? Because Aquarius is the one who pours out the Spirit. Aquarius is the one who pours out the Spirit. There's another quote by Jesus where he says that there will be a pouring out of the Spirit. And what he's talking about is Aquarius. He's talking about Aquarius spirit being poured out, the Aquarian spirit. When Aquarius first came on the horizon over here, right, getting closer to the sun, is when the pouring of the spirit began to happen. That's when the consciousness of man began to rise. And how do we know this? Because we know that there are many or multiple belief systems throughout the earth among the indigenous, the Indian or Buddhist or Hindu, the ancient Egyptian, Africans, all say, we go through this cycle of 24,000 years, and throughout this 24,000 year cycle, consciousness of man rise and fall. And we know even in the Yuga cycles, where it talks about going through these cycles of the golden age, or silver age, the bronze, and then the iron, and then we rise back up out of the iron into the bronze, into the silver, and into the golden age. And we know consciousness goes through these cycles of which men rise and fall in their state of mind, right? And so we know that the pouring out of the Spirit, which is Aquarius, as we see him here pouring out the Spirit right now, Mars and Saturn is in that energy, or in that constellation, right? And we ourselves are in Pisces, and so the pouring out of the Spirit is creating a separation between the bots, the unconscious, and the conscious, right? This is where the separation happens. In the text, it also talks about there will be two in the field. One will be taken up and one will stay, right? I can't remember where exactly that is in the Bible, but go look it up. There'll be two in the field. One will be taken up and one will stay. And then right after that, it talks about there's two types of women. Nevertheless, one will be taken up and one will stay, right? And so you got to understand that what this is referring to is all cosmic clock, cosmic time, right? Cosmic time. So even though we're about to witness this eclipse, see it as a spiritual upliftment, right? And yes, the world is going to get caught up in the entertainment part of it, but it's an upliftment of the spirit that's really taking place. And if you get to see it physically, enjoy it. It's super cool. I saw it once as a kid. I was trying to go see it today out here in Toronto, but the weather doesn't serve. It's going to be super cloudy all day, so I won't be able to see it. Nevertheless, I will be receiving this energy just like you, and I'll be meditating during this time and experiencing it spiritually. So, nevertheless, hope this video brings some value to you. Don't get caught up in the world. People always talk about the end of the world taking place, but it's still here. Year 2000 it was supposed to end. 2012 it was supposed to end. 2017 it was supposed to end, and we're here. 2020 was supposed to end, and we're here. And it's not going to end today. So the earth has been here. It goes through these cycles all the time, and everything is cyclical. You got to realize things rise and fall, right? This is what these cosmic clocks are about, the rising and the falling of consciousness for us, right? Look, the birds and a lot of the animals know when it's time to go north. They can receive electromagnetic information telling them which direction to go. This is our cosmic clock. This is for the human mind. This is our way of tapping into the divine and taking direction. When we look up into the cosmos, this is how we know what God wants us to do. This is how we know the time and phases that we are going to go through, is by looking up at this cosmic clock, right? So don't get it twisted and don't take it lightly. This is how we are connected, but we've forgotten that, right? Because we're looking at science and we're looking at these different religion for guidance. No, you need to be able to connect with God directly. All the birds who fly north and know where to fly, they don't look to each other. They just know. They just know where to go because God is talking to them. And same thing, if you understand this information, you'll just know what to do and you'll know what time we're in. This is why a lot of people prophesy different things taking place on the planet, because they're looking at the cosmic clock and they can tell what is going to happen because it's happened before, right? This is the nature of things. So here we are and getting closer to that eclipse. Some people are already witnessing it depending on what part of the earth you're on, but some of us will be a little bit longer before we get total eclipse. Anyways, enjoy. Peace.